Good morning, everyone. Today we are examining some lessons from Isaiah chapter 42. As we read the chapter yesterday, one of the things that we talked about is there's really a number of mini messages, small messages within the confines of chapter 42. And so just trying to pull out one or two things from this particular chapter, while they'll be very different in the tenor of the statements, we certainly won't have time to go over everything that we could examine because there's a lot of good material to be found in the verses of chapter 42. Allow me to just pull out a couple or three things very quickly in our examinations this morning. The first one is in verses 1 through 4, where here we have a promise of the Messiah, a promise of Jesus. He says, "Behold my servant whom I uphold, my elect one in whom my soul delights. I have put my spirit upon him. He will bring forth justice to the Gentiles. He will not cry out nor raise his voice, nor cause his voice to be heard in the street. A bruised reed he will not break, and smoking flax he will not quench. He will bring forth justice for truth. He will not fail nor be discouraged till he has established justice in the earth, and the coastlands shall wait for his law." Certainly here this is a look forward to the time of the Christ, to the coming of Jesus, as we see here, and you've got a number of different indicators. He is the elect one. He is my servant whom I uphold. I have put my spirit upon him. He will bring forth justice to the Gentiles. He is going to bring forth justice for truth. He will, until he has established justice in the earth. All of those things are reminiscent of the things that Jesus accomplished when he came to this earth and who he was and what he came to do. And so in the first four verses of the chapter, we actually have a statement that is looking forward to the time of the Christ. The second thing that I want us to see comes from verse number 8. Beginning in verse 5, God talks about who he is and what he has done and all of these kinds of things. But then you come down to verse 8 and he says, "I am the Lord, that is my name, and my glory I will not give to another, nor my praise to carved images." Here you have an emphatic statement by God where he says, "I am the Lord." That is my name. That is who I am. And I will not share my glory or my praise with anyone else. I will not give it to somebody else, and I will not let it be offered to carved images. Now, where this becomes important is in the fact that Israel and Judah are trying to give the glory that belongs to him to others. You have the rampant idolatry in the northern kingdom of Israel. You have all of the things that have gone on from time to time among the people of Judah. And so you have this statement that God makes where he says, "I will not share my glory and my praise with others and in other places." He says, "Because I am the Lord." That's it. That is the focus of the premise that God lays out. And you go all the way back to verse number 5, and he says, "Thus says the Lord who created the heavens and stretched them out, who spread forth the earth and that which comes from it, who gives breath to the people on it and spirit to those who walk on it." Who's the one responsible for it all being here? It's me. Therefore, I am the Lord, and I'm not going to share my glory and praise with anyone else. We need to recognize that even today, because there are many that do not recognize the glory and of the Lord. They do not give praise to the Lord, and they do not recognize what he has done and who he truly is. But thus he says to the people in the days of Isaiah. The third thing that I want us to pull from chapter 42 is toward the end of the chapter. As a matter of fact, where I want us to focus in on is the last verse of chapter 42. But beginning in verse 21, you have God talking about Israel's disobedience and how that they are struggling. They are destroyed because they are not listening. They will not pay attention. And verse 23, he says, "Who among you will give ear to this? Who will listen and hear for the time to come? Who gave Jacob for plunder and Israel to the robbers? Was it not the Lord, he against whom we have sinned? For they would not walk in his ways, nor were they obedient to his law. God says, who's this? Who am I talking about? Who's going to be this way? Who's not going to listen? It's Israel and Judah. But then he says in verse 25, therefore he has poured on him the fury of his anger and the strength of battle. It has set him on fire all around, yet he did not know, and it burned him, yet he did not take it to heart. Israel and Judah have been so obstinate before God that the enemies are at their door, that God's judgment is right here in front of them, and they're still not paying attention. They still don't seem to comprehend the depth of what it is that they are facing. He says it has set him on fire all around, yet he did not know. It's not like he shouldn't be able to see. It's not like he hasn't been told. He just refuses to hear. He refuses to accept the facts of what's going on. It burned him, God says, yet he did not take it to heart. How many times has God tried to lay before Israel and Judah what is the problem, the means of getting back to him, the call that he wants them back and that he desires them to be back, and yet it does not hit the heart. They might see certain things and they might turn a little bit for a while, but their heart never fully is brought back to God. Those are some of the things that I found in chapter 42. Certainly that's not all of the things that we could examine from the chapter, but I think that they will be helpful in us pulling some things that we need to learn from when it comes to chapter 42. So I hope you have a great day. Tomorrow we will come back and we will examine Isaiah chapter 43. Have a good one, folks.